First off, before we start, I really thank you guys for the followers. I really appreciate it. I love you guys. It's been a lot of fun, and because my page has gotten kind of popular lately, these China companies have been contacting me because they want me to review a whole bunch of their stuff, and that's kind of what happens to a lot of these pages. Just become these China review company pages. Anyways, GearBest contacted me and they said they want me to review all this stuff, and I said no. Okay, fine, I'll review something. Send me your very best drone. Send me your single best item, and I will review that, and I will incorporate it into my other things and do something with it. And this is what they sent me. So this thing is a Betaflight 2S thing. I could not get it to bind to anything. It's supposed to be DSM2. I even put my own receiver in there, and it seems like the board just doesn't work. Anyways, the battery is interesting. I'll probably use that for something else. They also sent me this, which is really awesome, and I've seen it. I saw this a year ago, and it was good a year ago. It has amazing reception for a crappy little watch. This I would recommend. This I would not, but up to you. So the goggles, the Flysight goggles and the Dominator V3 goggles. These are the closest competitors. The Fatshark lineup. First of all, Fatshark has 3 lines. They have the Predator line, they have the Dominator line, and they have the HD line. The Predator line is their low-end line, which I do not recommend to anybody anymore. The Dominator line has always kind of been their best line in the middle, and I think the best pair of goggles they ever made was the Dominator V2s, because it did have a 640 by 480 screen, square screen. It had the DVR, and it had the modules that you can replace, and it was white, so it blocked the sun, which was really nice. And they discontinued it. So then they made the HD3s, which are terrible. All the HD goggles, in my opinion, are horrible because the optics are just terrible. You can only, or at least the majority of people that look through the screens, can only see the center of the screen as focused, and the rest of it is super blurry. On top of that, it's not actually HD. It's 800 by 600 resolution, and it's a 4:3 screen, which I don't think is actually very good anymore. If you've seen my other videos, you know that I only use the Monster camera. The Monster camera is a 1200 TV line camera. It is a CMOS sensor, so it does have some jello to it, but it is drastically higher resolution, so you can actually see where you're going. If you're still using a Sony 600 camera, I mean, I don't even know why people get the Dominator HDs, because it doesn't look any better. Okay, so these two goggles actually use modules from the same company, Copen. They're both using the same modules, and what Copen supplies to them is the screen, the optics, a little casing around the screen and optics, as well as the video driver. The Fatsharks are using a 800 by 480 screen, and the Flysight is using an 854 by 480 screen. Okay, so now I'm going to play the actual comparison video, and you can watch that. The Flysights look a lot sharper. They look a lot sharper when you look through the lenses with the 1200 TV line cameras that I use. It looks stunning. It really looks beautiful. Additionally, the resolution, the higher resolution, even though it's only 54 pixels wider, it looks a lot better on Connex as well. Even though Connex in the high performance mode is not even pumping out full 720p, it's a little bit less than 720p. My Monster cameras actually look a little bit better than the Connex cameras. It still looks sharper and cleaner on the Flysight. The Dominators, however, use a screen that is higher contrast ratio. So you're looking at these two comparison videos, and what you're probably noticing is that the Dominator on the right side looks much clearer. And the reason is that, okay, so when you go to Best Buy and you look and you compare TVs, it says, okay, this one has 1,000,000 to 1 contrast ratio, this one has 10,000,000 to 1. Those contrast ratios are blown out of proportion, they're comparative, and they mean nothing. The manufacturers have just made up these terms to confuse the buyer. When you're looking at screens and you're comparing contrast ratios, the screen that kind of has like a gray hue to it, or kind of like you can't see clearly through the darks and the lights, that has a lower contrast ratio. The Dominators just have a higher contrast ratio. On top of that, the backlight on the Dominators is a little bit brighter as well. So even though the Flysight is using a high resolution screen, the Dominator screen looks a little bit clearer because of that higher contrast ratio. That being said, I can pretty much fly both of them the same way, regardless. You get used to anything you're using. If I had one and I didn't know about the other, I probably wouldn't notice. And then the other thing you're seeing here is the breakup quality of the static. So my Dominator V3s, let's start with the Flysight. The Flysight breakup quality is a little digital. It kind of has this little like sharp cutting lines to it, and it doesn't have the same kind of snowy quality as the Dominators. It's not bad. It's just another quality of breakup that you have to get used to. The receiver module on the Flysight is not quite as good as my fake diversity on Dominators. But if you're going to get the Dominators, you're probably going to want to get either the LaForge or the Furious module, because those are the two best modules at the moment, and those are like $80 and $110, so it's kind of a significant step up. With the Flysights, I would recommend using a ground station, just because I feel more comfortable knowing that I have good signal quality, and when you're using a ground station, you have better signal anyways because you have all these antennas away from your head. The Dominator, on the other hand, has this issue where the screen rolls. So if my signal becomes a little too staticky or some weird static way, or if I use the wrong antenna, the screen just like rolls. It has this like old-fashioned rolling film effect that makes you feel like you're flipping in the air, which is really bad. I contacted Fatshark about this, and they actually said they have no idea. They've never even heard about it, especially with this goggle pair, that nobody has had any issues, which was an absolute lie, because I have found Fatshark representatives posting on forums about how this might improve, that might improve, we've tried to fix this, we haven't fixed that, or that kind of stuff about that problem. They have supposedly been they've been sending me a return shipping label for the past almost 2 weeks now. So what you've already seen are the two main differences about the goggles. Now I'm going to go through the actual pair and what it's like to wear them and use them. The next main issue that I see is that both of these, the optics are terrible. I don't know why they're so bad, but both of them, I have to smash them on my face for me to actually see the screen. The Flysights, I have a little bit easier time seeing the whole screen. The Dominators is just bad. I did have to, the Flysight came with this ski mask, which I had to rip off and replace with the Dominator foam, because I couldn't get it close enough to my eyes to actually see the whole screen. This is a lot better. For people that like the eye cups, the Flysight is really nice that you can just kind of like take off the faceplate so easily and put on the cups, which I think their previous model had, so they should have those available. The next thing about the Flysight is that it has a front-facing camera, which is a gimmick. Nobody really cares about that. The settings of the screen, what you saw in the comparison was actually the default setting, and you can change the contrast and brightness, but it doesn't make a significant difference. And the reason that was the default setting is because the headset actually doesn't remember your settings when you set them. So every time you turn them on, you have to just click the button to go into the menu, and then it remembers, oh hey, there's different settings, and it pops those settings back into your screen and actually changes the way it looks. They both have space for diopters. The Flysight actually seems like it comes with UV filter blank diopters in there. Let's see if I can get the camera to focus in there. Yeah, so it comes with like blank UV filter diopters, whereas the Fatsharks don't really come with, I mean, it doesn't really make a difference, but that's their method of protecting the lenses in Flysight. The Flysight do have a fan, just like the Dominators, although I believe the fan was actually intended for the receiver module, not so much for your lenses. That being said, it does circulate air, so it's pretty much has the same effect. You can change the IPD adjustment on the goggles, just like the Fatsharks. The HDMI in works great, works with 1080p, works at 720p, works great with Connex, AV in and out, work great. Actually, as the Dominator also has AV out. Has a headphone plug. It has a PPM in, which I think is for the front camera. I don't know. The power port works great. You're seeing it. It's unfortunate that it's black because it does absorb sun, but it's not really a big deal. The Flysight also comes with a myriad of wires. It comes with 2 video cables as well as a 3rd video cable that looks like this, which I don't even know what it's for. A power adapter cable, a headphone jumper. It comes with this case, and it comes with the battery. All right, so the battery on both of these goggles is completely useless. I don't know how Flysight expects you to use this. It works like a phantom battery, but you can't put it in the strap, even though the strap does have a space for the battery, and it comes with a charger as well. Battery actually lasts kind of a long time. I think this it's a 1500 milliamp battery. The Flysight, something really nice about it is that it does work on up to 6S, which is great, and I don't know why Fatsharks don't. The battery that comes with the Fatsharks is pretty terrible. This battery comes pre-puffed if you open the casing, and it will work for anywhere from 0 to 2 hours if you're lucky, depending on what the weather is like. And if you're gonna get any of these goggles, you're probably gonna end up making your own battery, like I do here, which these are 2 18650 cells, which run for about 5 hours with the DVR running the whole time. The Flysight does not have a DVR, which is not the end of the world, because the DVR on the Fatsharks is pretty much almost useless because it's such low quality. And then the one other issue about the Flysight is that the screens do have a minor burn-in effect issue. So if you do leave your camera on and your goggles are tuned into the camera for more than a couple minutes, you do get a faint burn-in when you start moving the camera again, but it does go away after a couple seconds, which it's not really a big issue because we don't really leave our goggles on and our quads sitting in the same place for 10-15 minutes. Between all those, the cost differences between these two are kind of not extreme, but it's significant. When it's all said and done, the Flysight is about $140 to $210 cheaper than the Fatsharks. That does not include the battery, so it's kind of a decision you have to make. Me, myself, I started with a pair of head plays, which were terrible, and you don't really want a shoebox pair of goggles. And after about 8 months, I noticed that I was flying a lot, so I decided, oh, hey, let's spend some money and get some Dominators because they seem to be popular. And I did that, and when I tried to transition from the head plays to the Dominators, it was pretty difficult because I was going from looking at like a theater screen to something the size of a postage stamp. That being said, I now would not go back to the head plays at all. I can fly much better with my Dominators with a small screen than I can with a big screen. It's really a personal decision. I cannot recommend any of these. They're both such bad products that it pains me to even use them. I don't know why a company can't just give us a nice headset that has a 720 screen. I don't even care about a 720 screen. The same resolution, just like optics that work properly, and a faceplate that fits your face properly, and a fan that actually does defogging. Both of these fans barely defog, and a DVR that actually records half decently. There are pretty good DVRs out there. It's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing to me why we haven't had this product. Hopefully somebody will hear this cry and make a good pair. I myself have been trying to work on a pair, but it's really hard to get these Chinese companies to understand what you're saying and actually execute the way you want it to be executed. So maybe sometime in the future I will have a product available, maybe not, I don't know. This is a very unfortunate topic and area to discuss. Anyways, please floss, please floss, please floss. Do not forget to floss. It is very important. If you're going to choose one or the other between brushing and flossing, flossing is more important. It's actually more important. Please, for heaven's sakes, floss.